Barthas crossed the cave and slowly approached the strangely glowing crystal. He had no idea as to what it might be. Like any good hero in a dungeon, he just couldn't keep his greedy little fingers to himself and touched the crystal. As he did, a brilliant light filled the room. When the light faded again, Barthas lay badly wounded on the ground. With his last breath, he stammered, "For the watch," and gave up his life. However, his actions had set something free. Like many other heroes before him, he had inadvertently released another great evil into the world. The corrupting evil. It had long rested, unaware that two of its siblings were already awake and fighting for supremacy. Its servants awoke with it, the undead. Now they rose from their graves. Skeletons, zombies, ghouls, frights, Nosferatu, all following their vile master's plans. As well as they could. Undead aren't exactly known for their intellectual prowess, and are therefore sometimes referred to as the Mindless Army. They didn't forget Barthas' corpse. The corrupting evil's creatures carried his corpse forth and laid it to its final rest. Then they turned their attention to the living, the North Watch. The wall would fall, and the mindless army would head south, to where the corrupting evil's siblings were already waiting. And so the ultimate evil awoke. Oh, wait a minute. The ultimate evil? Oh no, that was the main game. Yesterday's news. And so the corrupting evil awoke. The all-too-curious Barthas Snow had released it from its crystal prison. It felt its brothers to the south, and it would meet them very soon. But first there was unfinished business to take care of. The icy wall to the south protected the realms of the Alliance. It had to be destroyed so that the mindless army could march. The huge ice wall was insurmountable, but an old gold mine would play an important role in its destruction. The corrupting evil had to gain control of that mine. Before that could happen, however, a mighty army would have to be raised, which of course required a thriving dungeon. Immediately, the corrupting evil set out to build a dungeon and raise an army of combat-capable creatures. How does one build a dungeon? The corrupting evil already knew that, of course. It had no need of extravagant tutorials, but immediately went into action. The gold-grubbing evil had built a treasury. This would help amass treasures that would make even the rich canisters turn green with envy. A bloodsucker had risen. These fly-by-night creatures were cowardly and didn't even do any work, but when paired with an undead guard, they could make an insidious combination. didn't take long before the corrupting evil had erected a final resting place. A wise decision, for his undead were already craving a place where they could rest their weary bones. A fright had risen. The cutesy impression was misleading, for this traumatized spirit was a psychopathic creature who listened to and followed the deadly and bloodthirsty promptings of its teddy bear. The vile evil found these endearing qualities indeed. In addition, it also haunted the mana tombs, where it either produced mana or researched new spells. Alchemy lab was built. Here, the crying-to-itself evil skeletons would in future brew up nice new gizmos such as traps and the like for the dungeon. Would they discover the Philosopher's Stone in the process? Well, unlikely. Very unlikely. Bone warrior had risen. These bony cronies were armed with rusty swords and would prove most useful to the vile evil in the alchemy lab.
Payday.
The crazily laughing evil hastily erected a laboratory. Here, zombies would in future do research. Well, pressing stupid buttons, you know. Nevertheless, this room held an incredible potential for improvements to the undead creatures. A zombie had risen. This brainless creature worked in the laboratory where it researched numerous improvements for the undead army. They were pretty decent melee fighters as well.
It's payday.
Near the Great Wall lay an old gold mine. It would be essential for the destruction of the wall and had to be taken. At a wave of the keeping itself at a safe distance evil's hand, the undead creatures marched off, yet they didn't get far, as there was no exit to the upper world. However, the corrupting evil's hard-working minions were certain to change that at any second. The corrupting evil had now learned the Army of the Dead spell, with which it was able to gather its mindless army at a given location. Useful. Very useful. The dastardly evil had long hidden itself from its creatures, but now the time had come. Since it could not march to the front itself, it had raised an undead general, someone who could throw themselves suicidally into the fray. Barthas Snow was the new Lich General.
What happened to me?
Barthas was still a bit unsteady on his feet, not yet accustomed to the rotting flesh. But all too soon, perverse evil's commands rained down upon him.
Yes, Master. I will do as you say. The wall must fall. The North Watch must die.
Who wouldn't appreciate staff that helpful? The sound of engineers around here could certainly learn a bit from him. Hey, don't turn it down! But some spiders had captured the exit to the surface for their own purposes. These would first have to be persuaded to get out of the way.
Kill the living.
That's what I meant. Very good. Lay dead on the ground. While their legs would definitely have made a delicious soup, undead simply have no need of food. Therefore, their remains were left lying where they fell, unused. With the conquest of the spider's territory, the mindless army was able to claim the exit to the upper world for its own and use it from then on. A new spell had become available. Retreat allowed the cowardly evil to order all of its creatures within the area of effect to immediately retreat to the throne room. It's payday. The first of the Mindless Army's undead stalked into the sunlight of the overworld. This powerful army would soon spread throughout the countries of the Alliance to wipe out all that lived. A new spell has been developed in the Manitous, the Ice Sphere. The corrupting evil could use it to slow down and damage any enemy stupid enough to come into its sphere of malignant influence. The corrupting evil's activities had not escaped the North Watch. Suspicious, they sent a scouting party to explore the catacombs. Here, they would experience a most unpleasant surprise. This entrance to the dungeon had been buried. It would take talented engineers months before it could be used again. Mindless undead would probably need a touch longer. payday. The corrupting evil's mindless army had reached the gold mine. A small group of dwarves guarded the entrance, and a rhythmic hammering and hacking could be heard coming from the depths. The undead advanced. The gold-hungry had skillfully taken the entrance to the gold mine with acceptable losses. From there one could hear the dwarves below happily singing "Hi-ho, hi-ho," and calling out "Gold, gold, gold!" This would soon have to end. Kill the dwarves, for Azog the for the corrupting evil. Apparently, hammers and pickaxes were neither modern nor fast enough for the dwarves, which led them to acquire an impressive stock of dynamite. And Barthas was dead. These undead nowadays have all gone soft, I tell you. This dynamite would destroy even the most impenetrable of walls. The corrupting evil gave it a hearty smack. What an incredible spectacle! When he blew up the dynamite, the magnificent evil started a chain reaction which spread inexorably towards the wall. The dynamite also wreaked untold damage upon the surface. Whole areas were laid waste, and it came ever closer to the wall. Until this too fell. The dynamite underground had done its duty and caused sections of the wall to collapse. The way for the undead army was now clear.
Forward for the corrupting evil. Kill the living.
Enemies have entered the dungeon. It's payday. There are enemies in your dungeon.
Just as the mindless army was about to cross the imposing ice bridge, it collapsed. Someone had probably dropped a bag of salt. The Fright in the Manitoons has researched a particularly insidious spell for the wicked evil. The Blight. This spell allowed it to surround all its undead creatures with a poisonous aura that damaged enemies in close combat. How utterly abominable! The corrupting evil watched the men of the North Watch burn the bodies of their dead, a terrible waste of undead material. With Bartha's skill, the corrupting evil could add these bodies to its army.
Arise, your true master. Follow me into battle.
This Barthas is slowly starting to grow on me. It was a good idea to introduce a main character Barthas used his newfound powers to call some undead minions to his side. Now, it was time to move against the individual North Watch camps and destroy them. Eagerly, the mindless army went to work. North Watch's eastern fortress went up in flames. The competent evil patted itself on the back and sent its troops forth.
Well, you're one of us.
I serve my lord. My days as one of the living are over. All of you shall die.
Traitor! The Red God will punish you with cleansing fire. Men, kill this abomination!
I'm gonna fucking chin ya!
Payday. There are enemies in your dungeon.
Barthas, you may have won this battle, but we will meet again and then I shall destroy you in the Red God's name!
Try it. The corrupting evil will destroy you.
Wow! Those two make me almost superfluous. But only almost. The mindless army continued its advance and effortlessly overran the last surviving North Watch defenders. The destructive evil had destroyed the North Watch's Black Fortress. The White Walkers, the mindless army, moved on. Watch's shady tower proved helpless against the mindless army and fell so quickly that everyone wondered if there wasn't something faulty with it. The undead had triumphed. The wall was destroyed, and the North Watch with it. The mindless army flowed undisturbed south into the former realms of the Alliance. The corrupting evil had won a glorious victory, but this was only the first step. It was time to perform a truly vicious act so as to win its subordinates' respect, if there was such a thing amongst the undead.